All right, go right ahead.
Welcome, everyone, to lesson 1 of level 2 training. Ooh, so exciting. All right, I trust everyone is doing well. I posted some video clips of Kung Fu Panda, and I highly recommend everybody watch them in the order that I've shown them. I'm just going to describe it because I don't think we can show these on YouTube without getting dinged for copyright. So Kung Fu Panda he's been training under his master for a while. And finally his master says that he's ready for the Dragon Scroll. Now this Dragon Scroll is said to make the person who owns it or who has earned it have superpowers and give him all sorts of insight and things like that. So it's a pretty high, it's a prestigious thing to win this right to read the scroll. So finally, Mushu gets it down and hands the scroll to Kung Fu Panda. And Panda opens the scroll and he looks at it and he's like, it's blank. I don't get it. And no one really understands it at the time until a little bit later when Kung Fu Panda is talking to his father, who owns a restaurant, a noodle business. He has noodle soup, and there's a secret ingredient noodle soup. And his father is telling him a story about this noodle soup. And he says, do you want to know what the secret ingredient is? And Panda's like, well, okay, sure. What is it? He said, the secret ingredient is nothing. Nothing. And Panda's going, he's going ape, you know what? And he can't figure it out. What do you mean nothing? Nothing is the secret ingredient? Yes, because when you believe that the soup is special, it's special. So it has a secret ingredient. The secret ingredient is you. And Panda figured it out that the scroll was actually showing his reflection. So he doesn't need to know any secrets because he has all of the secrets inside of him. Everything he needs to know, he has. You are the secret ingredient in this method. The power is with you. There are no secrets. All of the secret societies, do they teach things of value? Yes, they do. But as you probably have already seen with level 1, they're not very profound. I mean, this wisdom is available to you in many different books and seminars and audios. But if you don't know who to listen to, it can get lost in all of the din. One of the great things that the secret societies teach is to hide it in plain sight. If you want something to never be found, you hide it in plain sight. It's very important. There's all of these truths all around us. But then there's a bunch of idiots also talking all around us. So if we don't know who's an idiot and who's telling the truth, we can get confused. I've seen a great example where there will be evidence of one of the members of the societies doing something wrong, like really wrong. And they do bad stuff, some of them. But in order to cover it up, when it gets exposed, what do these people do? Well, they say it's a conspiracy theory. And then all of the trouble just seems to go away, doesn't it? Because it gets lost in all of the muck of what people are saying. Some people say it's true, some people say it's not true, some people say it's a conspiracy theory, other people say no, it's the real thing, and there's confusion, and voila, the guy gets off scot-free. So if you want to hide something, hide it in plain view. All right. Now, I also posted a Patent on Leadership YouTube video, and it's actually just an audio of Kevin. I will be providing an audio at some point in the future, but I realized that I had actually lost the audio from my iPod, so I'm trying to acquire it right now. But Patent on Leadership is a very important course, and we're going to go through that at a later date, but I am posting it now just for your list. So please go ahead and put that in queue on your list. All right. Now, this is a phrase that you might want to write down. It is a phrase that is spoken many times in the societies. It's not what you eat, but what you digest that makes you strong. It's not what you earn, but what you save that brings you wealth. It's not what you learn, but what you remember that makes you wise. It's not what you eat, but what you digest that makes you strong. It's not what you earn, but what you save that brings you wealth. And it's not what you learn, but what you remember that makes you wise. And that is something very important. You can get lost in all of the information that is available to you. So
could you say that one more time? I was going to type it out.
Oh, sure. Sure. It's not what you eat, but what you digest that makes you strong. It's not what you earn, but what you save that brings you wealth. It's not what you learn, but what you remember that makes you wise. Oh, very good. Okay, I see it up there. Excellent. Yes. So it's easy to get lost in all of the stuff because you can eat and eat and eat and eat. But if you're not actually taking in any of the nutrients, it's just going to go through and not nourish you. Okay. So we're going to try and make this so that it's easier to discern what is really important. All right. So take out a sheet of paper, preferably white with a blue pen if you have it. And we are going to write down, I'm going to give you 2 minutes for this. We're going to write down a list of everything that we would do if we couldn't fail or we had so much money that we were richer than God. So you hit the lottery 6 times. Okay? So you're going to make a list of everything that you would be, do, or have if you had as much money as God and you had all of the abilities in the world. You can't fail. You have all the skills, all the abilities. And we have 2 minutes. So it's 7:15 my time. So yeah, 7:17. Okay, and go. All right, and stop. Okay, now, what did you observe when making your list?
No hesitation, because I had all the money I could use and I had no hesitation about failing.
Did you use the entire amount of time that I gave you?
Yes.
Excellent. Could you have gone longer?
Yes.
That's a good sign. One thing that you're going to notice if you do this, like, say, every 3 months or so, you'll notice that you never finish. Or another way of putting it is it takes you longer and longer to make your list. Because as you are doing this training, your belief is going up that you can actually have this stuff and you can actually do this stuff. So when you think of accomplishments that you can achieve throughout your lifetime, most people think, oh, but I could never do that. And they have all of this negative back talk that they probably learned from their parents or their peers growing up. And they end up not making a very big list. But one thing you're going to observe is that your list will get more creative too, because one thing you might say is, oh, I want a new dishwasher, when you first start. But then as you go through this, you go, no. I want to have a live-in maid who's going to do all the dishes anyway, so I don't need a new dishwasher. So you'll get more creative as this goes along. And another thing that I wonder if you noticed already, that you are actually capable of creating anything on this list. Is that something that all of you have noticed?
When I think about it, you're right. It's like, what is stopping? When I'm writing this stuff down, it's like, well, what is stopping me from doing that now?
Yes. Now, another thing that I would like to address is when you make a really big, long list, the longer and longer it gets as you do this, that is creating. It's like a mini creation. When you're making your list, it's kind of like you make that thing happen for a split second and you write it down. It hasn't happened yet in real life, but you're doing a mini creation, everything you write down. This is creating the universe and expanding the universe. You are adding to the data set. So if you think of everything as E equals MC squared, the energy part of that is coming from you and your mind. Every thought that you think or emotion that you feel is energy. And that energy will eventually turn into solid matter. Now, it takes a lot of energy to create solid matter, because if you do the math on that, the constant is the speed of light, right? Which is quite a high number. So if you think of that, just to create 1 gram of physical matter takes lots and lots of thoughts. So this is not something that just springs to life the second that you think about it. But creating and adding to the data set is your job. That's why you're here. And that's why you are in a body right now. Because only people who have 3-dimensional bodies can actually bring all of this energy into the 3rd dimension. This is not selfish. You're actually creating the universe and expanding the universe. So it is not selfish to create things. And it's not selfish to have a long list. Now, another thing that I hope that you have already noticed, but I believe that you will notice in time, is that the material possessions on your list don't even really matter. It doesn't really matter if you get them, but rather it is the experience that you're craving. You're craving the people that you are going to meet and have dinner with and converse with and play tennis with, right? Even people that you already know, like your wife or your kids, it's the experiences that you're going to have with them that are special, that matter the most. And probably, well, perhaps the most important thing is who you become. That is what matters the most, not the physical possessions. Now, if you believe that you really can have everything on the list, it all of a sudden turns into a game. It's really just a game. That's what life is. And you make up the rules. Isn't that something? You create the rules. You decide what kind of game it is. You decide who's playing the game with you, everything. You get to choose. And for so long, the masses have been told, sometimes subtly, and sometimes it's very obvious, but they're told their place is to be the workers, the slaves. You have to pay your taxes. You have to work hard. And then maybe you'll get a pension when you retire, and you'll have just enough money to make ends meet until the day that you die. And then there's hopefully something left to give to your kids. That's what we're told, is that we're really not worth much at all. But the truth is that you are the secret. You are the one that is creating, and you are the one that is making the universe what it is. Together, if all the people on planet Earth knew these secrets, do you think that we could end world hunger? Could we educate the world? Could we get rid of war and famine and disease? I believe we could, if everyone knew these techniques. Something to think about. All right, so based on this list now, knowing that the experiences that you are going to have are more important than the material possessions. The people that you will spend those experiences with are more important than material possessions. And who you are going to become when you have accomplished all of these things is more important than any of it. What do you really want? Do you have an answer?
To be genuinely content and happy.
Isn't that the way it is? That no matter what, the end result is you just want to be happy. Interesting. Very interesting. And it is only when you are feeling good and blissful that you can create. However, we did talk about intense emotions such as anger that can allow you to focus. But that, again, is just for a minute, and that's to get you to focus so that you feel good, so that you can create. That happiness will allow you to create. So I encourage you to do this this little exercise where you write down everything that you would do if you knew you couldn't fail. I would encourage you to do that several times a year, if not once a month. Now, another thing is we say, don't let your business be silliness, which means there's a lot of people who, they try to look busy. Like, do you know at work, somebody like that makes it look like they're doing a lot of stuff, but they're really not into production at all?
Yes, that was me at times.
That was me too. And Dave took my answer about wanting happiness.
Awesome. So you're right on track too. Okay. Yeah, there's people who are experts at we call it making puppies, where they make it look like they're doing something, but they're not really doing something. That is not what you're going to do with your business and with your dream. Know the score and understand what is necessary to get the job done, and focus on those activities. Sorry, what were you wanting to know, Dinklefish? Dinklefish?
Oh, sorry. It cut out for a split second. I was just going to say something. One of the biggest things in my life, well, one of the biggest challenges for me comes from numbers. I guess you can say very number obsessed. When it was in school, it was grades, calories, weight, money, whatever. Numbers rule my life. I think if I can reach a point in my life where I can hit that happiness that I'm desiring and get rid of the control the numbers have on that attainment of the happiness, I think I would be in a much better place. And I'm not saying that getting the money that I need or that I want will necessarily bring me the happiness, but we live in a society where it seems like everything revolves around the money, because to survive, you need to buy the food. Do you know what I mean? To be able to live, you need to be able to buy a place to live in. If not, you'll live your whole life to a certain degree very dependent, even if society deems you, quote unquote, an adult, if that makes any sense. So I think one of the struggles for me right now is finding a balance between the way the numbers impact my life and still being able to have the peace and happiness that I want.
That's a very good point. Yeah, to somebody that is very focused on numbers, knowing the score might actually cause you a lot of stress. So if you're hyper aware of numbers already, I would say don't focus on the know your score part of this, because you're already doing that, right? So for you, I would suggest just focus on the feeling that you want to get, and doing your dream board and dream building is very good. And also the mind movie, where you've already got it. And
Perfect.
the
Okay.
event.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you experience that event, you'll feel happiness, I'm assuming.
No, I agree completely. And I'll add this really quickly. Sorry to interrupt in this. When I stopped looking at my report card in 9th grade and I made it my focus to, I'm just going to put in 100% of myself into whatever work I do. And if I receive a score or the result is something less than perfection, less than 100, less than what I would have wanted it to be, that's what I deserved. Because if I put in 100% of myself, which means I did the best that I can do, then whatever comes from the efforts I put in would be what I earned. You know, so I can't argue or I can't be mad at anyone because it would have been an honest earning. So I need to, and I had much more peace when I was younger than I do now. And it's not that I've never made money, but making the money never actually brought me that contentment that subconsciously I thought having the dollar signs in the bank would bring me.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's really the people that you're with and the experience of, going to a special place with that person that is worth more to you than money.
Thanks for all this, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Professor, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I don't know if your mic is off or I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, we're going to move on. So there's something called homeopathy, which was developed by a man named Hahnemann. Now, homeopathy was always regarded by the scientific community, the Muggle scientists, I say, as being just a bunch of hogwash. All right. So it was always thought that, okay, well, you're taking a tincture and then you take like one drop of that tincture, which is basically you're taking, poison ivy, for example, and then you combine it with alcohol, and the alcohol will extract a lot of the nutrients and elements from the poison ivy plant. And then you take that mixture of alcohol and plant extracts, and you'll take a drop of that and put it into a gallon of water. And then they do what's called succussing, which is they shake the water with great force, and they shake it and shake it and shake it in a certain way. And then a drop of that water is taken and put into a gallon of water again, and it's succussed. And then this is repeated. And it's actually been found that the more it is succussed, the stronger the homeopathic remedy is. And as many times as they dilute it, it is also found to get stronger with each dilution, which makes no sense because at the end, you're really just left with water. So how is water, a drop of water, going to help you cure some type of ailment? So, for example, if you were really itchy because you had gone into the woods and encountered poison ivy, that particular remedy would solve the itchiness and the rash. Because the idea with homeopathy is that like cures like, similar to the law of attraction, which is like attracts like. Well, it wasn't until recently that science has discovered a way to look at it at the quantum level, which is the vibration of the water is different. And it has also been found that human beings can affect the vibration of water. For example, Dr. Emoto from Japan has taken water and put different phrases near the water, has thought different phrases near the water, or has spoken different phrases at the water, taken the water and then frozen it. And the crystallized pattern or lack thereof is looked at under a microscope. And it's very interesting that whenever words like thank you or I love you appear, the pattern is very much like a snowflake. So it is structured. It has geometry, usually a hexagonal geometry, because when you look at the molecule of water, it will join in a hexagon because the hydrogen and the oxygen will create half of a hexagon, and then it usually combines with another molecule to create the other half. So that is the structure of water. It's usually hexagonal or hexagonal. Now, when words like "I hate you" or "I can't do it" appear, then it is just like a dog's breakfast. Like there's no structure at all. And so you have everything in between those two ideas of having it very structured and the circuit is complete, the electrical circuit is complete, versus there's no electricity moving whatsoever. The electricity has nowhere to go. And there's everything in between. Now, it was found that human brains, when one particular person, let's say Susie, is dealing with the water, the signature of that particular water that Susie was dealing with has a certain signature, versus Billy might be dealing with the water and it has a totally different signature. So you could actually pinpoint who was working with that particular water as well. And it's all very interesting when you think of it in terms of energy. Now, Dr. Vole developed the Dermatron machine, and it was excellent at healing people of all sorts of different ailments. Now, he had cards that had like symbols and circuit board looking type of images on them. And there were many different cards. There was like a deck. Now, each card stood for a certain remedy. So if somebody came in, he would get this person to touch a metallic wand, and it was attached to this machine. And then there was another end to the machine that completed the circuit. And the doctor would press it against the other hand, the skin of the other hand. And this would complete the circuit. Well, he would be able to tell if you had, stress from certain different practices that had been done previous. He could tell if you had certain issues that you had to deal with. And so it's probably a voltmeter or something similar to that. Well, he could tell if you were under stress from certain conditions. So then he would take a card and he would put it in between, in the middle of the circuit. And then he would touch again, touch your skin. And it would show that your body was back to perfect. So it was that frequency that was required to, quote unquote, cure you of that particular issue. And Kevin Trudeau was going to this guy getting treated, and he was quite amazed by this. He said, okay, take the card out. So the doctor takes the card out, and it goes, like perfect score would be 50 out of 100. So he takes the card out and he gets 70, which is too high on the one side. So then he says, okay, put the card back in. So it's back to 50. He says, maybe this is a trick. So he says, okay, close your eyes. And he takes the card out and he shuffles the deck. And then he puts in a different card and it goes to a different number, goes back to 70. And then he takes the card out, puts the old card, the one that the doctor put in, and it's 50 again. It's perfect. Because he didn't know, maybe the doctor was just pressing with a different amount of force or pressing in a different area. He wasn't too sure. So that's why he got the doctor to close his eyes. He said, okay, well, put in a different card then. And the doctor puts in a different card and it's at 70 again. So he realized that there was something there. But he was quite perplexed at this whole idea that there are symbols, frequencies, and other types of things that can energetically affect a human being. Now, there is something called the Gentle Wind Project, which is no more. This was shut down by the governor of Maine, and you can actually look this up. My friend Mary Miller developed it with her group, and they have since moved on, and they now call their project the I Ching Systems. And it uses I Ching, but it also uses circuit board type symbols. And I have a painting up on my wall of one of those symbols. And those images can really affect someone emotionally and improve them. I had the privilege of having one of her boxes that she calls it an instrument, but it was like a really high priced box. And it had bands, metallic bands, one on each side. And you place your left hand on one band, and then you place your right hand on the other band. And you make sure to touch it with your fingertips. And you look at the symbol on the box. And there were all these different circuit board type symbols with different colors on the box. And lo and behold, if you're going through something emotionally, you can touch this box and you will start to cry. Like you'll just start to bawl without any warning. And Mary, if she's there with you, she can actually look at your aura and see things that are going on in your mind, the mind being outside the body, and she can shift certain toggle switches, if you will, on or off and affect that part of your body. Now, I'm telling you all of this so that you can understand that there are different techniques out there that can alter your energy so that you are a more effective creator, because it gets rid of some of the stuff. We already went over tapping. But what if you could do all of this yourself? What if you could, with your mind, just switch the toggle switches on or off that required fixing? Wouldn't that be cool? Sorry, I just had to take a drink there. Okay, now another thing I wanted to discuss is a reversal. So sometimes a person will be going through a reversal where what you would expect the average person to react is not the reaction, it's the opposite. That may be a reversal. Also, if you're speaking and you say, boy, it's sure cold in here, but you mean it, boy, it's sure hot in here. So you say the opposite. That could mean that you're going through a reversal. If you are going through a reversal or you're not sure, you can do the karate chop spot on the tapping chart that I shared with you. Well, it must have been a few days ago. So there's a side of the hand spot. It's basically right in the middle of your hand. Do a karate chop against your other hand and just tap that. And tap it about 10 times. And then see if you're still having that reversal. But in the next little while, we are going to go over the Merkaba. And the Merkaba training is designed to do several things. But one of the things it's designed to do is to flip those toggle switches automatically for you, so that you don't have to have somebody give you a homeopathic remedy. You don't have to have a Dermatron machine. You don't have to have Mary Miller's expensive boxes to fix you. You can fix yourself. And I believe in empowering people and bringing the power back to the individual. Not that those things are bad, but there's sometimes out of the price range of a lot of people that want to make their lives better. So in the interest of the little guy, we're going to do some Merkaba training. Now this training is, I think it's upwards of like $700 US just for this training. So you're basically getting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of training for free. I just want you to think about that for a second. So does anyone object to learning Merkaba training next session?
Object? No. Yes. No. There's no objections whatsoever.
I think Professor's trying to object, but his mic doesn't work. So that's just too bad. We're going to do it.
That was destiny. He was not allowed to object.
Well, this is actually success training. It's just a different form of training. So is everybody clear on what their dream is? Because I know that was a big thing that we were going to cover. And I think we covered it, but I'm not sure.
I'm getting a clearer picture as to what I think I should start envisioning my dream as.
Yeah, because I mean, my big dream was to become level 5, you know, a few years ago. And the experience of going to Rome and having the 3 tenors sing for me and, you know, everything that happened was so amazing that that's what I care about now when I think about it. I don't care about any, you know, monetary possessions that I have. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about the experiences and the people.
Well, Dinglefish and I were talking and we sorted out her dream. Her dream is a freezer full of Halo Top ice cream.
So what is Halo Top ice cream?
It's this low calorie ice cream. You can eat the whole pint and it's only 320 calories. It's low fat, low sugar. It's actually not bad. I'm eating one as we speak.
And I'm about to eat one. Some of them are 240 calories.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I think her favorite is birthday cake.
It's quite delicious and even tastier because Costco had it for much cheaper than the supermarkets.
Dinglefish, what is your dream? Have you worked out what your dream is, what you're focusing on?
I'm still working on it, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that because I'm Persian and I can go on and on. So we'll just say I'm still working on it, but there are things that I'd like to get done, like getting an electric violin, getting my classical violin fixed, training to do rock climbing, go skydiving, travel, things like that.
Excellent. Excellent. One big thing that I'm having is, you know, I'll think, okay, this is my dream and I'll focus on it, focus on it. And then like 3 days later, I'll be like, what was I thinking? I don't want that.
Oh, no, I exactly agree.
I agree. Yeah.
So hopefully this making a list thing can really give you some ideas so that it's not, you know, you're working on a dream and then you got to start over at square one because you realize you didn't really want that. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything to add, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight, and then we're going to get ready for our Merkaba training.
Thank you again very much. This was very, very constructive and very helpful. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And glad to have you, because I know you've been listening, after the fact. So it's good to have you live.
It's good to be on live too. There's something else when you can be on live.